Are you a virtual assistant that just feels stuck? Stuck waiting for instruction, secretly terrified about making a mistake, and asking permission for every single little thing that you're doing? You've got the skills and you know you're a hard worker, but you just can't seem to handle those high-paying clients who actually respect your expertise. You look at other virtual assistants with a full client list and wonder, what's their secret? What do they have that I don't? I'll tell you what it is, and it's much more simpler than you think. You're still thinking like an employee. That employee mindset, that one that made you a star in your 9 to 5, is everything that is currently holding you back from having a truly successful virtual assistant business. I could go down a rabbit hole on how the corporate structure is meant to keep us small. It's meant to make you feel like a task doer, and it's attracting clients that want to micromanage you instead of partnering with you. High-paying clients aren't looking for somebody else that they need to manage. They want a partner. They want somebody who solves a problem, anticipates needs, drives results. In this video, I'm breaking down the 5 crucial mindset shifts you have to make in order to go from a reactive task doer to the strategic business partner that your clients dream of. Make these shifts and you will fundamentally change how you view your business, how clients see you, and the income that you are going to generate. If you're new here, hi, my name is Paige Calabrelli. I am a virtual assistant and online business owner, and I've been working inside of my business full-time for the past 5 years. And my goal here is to provide you with as much free education as I possibly can so you can go ahead and create this virtual assistant business for yourself. Now, if you're just jumping in here, this is part 6 in my 6-part series where I teach you how to create, work in, and scale your virtual assistant business. So if you haven't checked out the other videos, I definitely recommend doing so. If you've been following along, then you're in the right place. The classic employee mindset is reactive. A task comes in, you do the task, and then you wait. Your client sends over a vague email saying something like, hey, can you handle the social media posts for next week? You say, sure, here are the social media posts, let me know what you think. And when do you want them scheduled? And then you wait. The problem here is that your client is busy. They hired you because they're unable to do this inside of their own business. They hired you to take things off of their plate, not to put things on their plate. This passive approach nonchalantly makes you a task doer and not a partner. Yes, there is a difference from when you're doing a task and they need to review something versus when they're asking you to take something completely off their plate. A business owner, on the other hand, knows that their job isn't just to do the task, it's to see the entire thing to completion. They don't just wait for instruction, they create their own clarity. So the shift that I want you to make is, instead of waiting for instructions, to always proposing the next step. So when that same vague email lands in your inbox, you're going to respond with, absolutely. Based on our content pillars, I've drafted 3 post ideas for next week focused on blank topic. I'd suggest we post them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at around 10 a.m. Since that's our peak engagement time, I popped drafts in our shared folder for you to take a look at. If all looks good, then I'll get them scheduled. How does that sound? The difference here is astonishing. You've taken ownership. You've anticipated the need. You used your expertise to make a real recommendation, and you made it real easy for your client just to say yes. You didn't just wait for the ball, you told the client exactly where you were going to run with it. This is called initiative, and this is where high-paying clients notice and value immediately. It not only builds massive trust, but it also shows that you're invested in their success and you're not just checking something off of your to-do list. In a traditional job, making a mistake can feel like it is the end of the world. Trust me, I know. It could mean a bad performance review or lead to an awkward conversation with your manager. So we tend to avoid mistakes at all costs. And that fear then leads to paralysis or constantly bugging our clients for reassurance before we do anything. You end up spending hours double checking simple tasks or flooding their inbox with "I just want to make sure" emails because you're terrified of getting something wrong. This fear not only kills efficiency, but it lacks confidence. It shows that you're not confident in whatever it is that you're doing. And successful business owners don't see mistakes as failures. They see them as data. Every typo, every broken link, every failed experiment is just data that shows them what doesn't work. It's a lesson and it's invaluable to growth. If you never make a mistake in your business, in your life, then you're never going to learn. You can't grow a business without learning new things, and you can't learn new things without the risk of fearing not to mess up. The shift here is to stop personalizing these mistakes and start analyzing them. Instead of thinking I'm such an idiot, start to think, okay, that didn't work. What did we learn? I remember when I made a small micro mistake in one of my clients' businesses. There was an email that went out that was referring to a client. It was a client win. However, the win didn't match the client's name that was inside of the email because it was a template that got sent out. This was years ago. I remember I internalized that mistake so much. All the client did was send me a screenshot and say, hey, just wanted to let you know that this was sent out with the wrong name. Next time, let's just make sure that it's correct moving forward. She wasn't pissed off. She wasn't mad. She was essentially making me aware of my mistake, so I didn't make it again. I remember feeling so bad that day. I was so sad that I ended up stopping work for the rest of the day and took a bath in the dark and cried. That sounds so dramatic, but I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that feeling. And my husband came in and he actually taught me something that I've never really thought about before. When it comes to reviewing your work, for example, when it comes to scheduling value emails or newsletters, just 5 minutes. Essentially, once you complete a task, just take an extra 5 minutes to review everything. Look everything over. Catch these mistakes. Sometimes when you're looking at something for days or hours, it's kind of hard to see those mistakes, especially for me. I definitely feel that. I am dyslexic. Some things just don't look wrong to me when they absolutely are. Coming back to it, taking that extra 5 minutes may make that mistake jump out. But the important thing here is you are going to make mistakes, and we are not going to personalize them. We are going to analyze them, and we are going to use them as data. So now I know that I have made that mistake in the past, and I'm going to actively check each email moving forward that I have updated the name. So in this case, I didn't just fix the mistake, I fixed the process. In that example, what I ended up doing is I ended up creating a checklist for these specific emails. These weren't regular newsletters. These were just specific emails for, say, a Facebook Live that we were promoting on her account. So we had specific templates. I went ahead and created the template as an actual template instead of something that we just copied and changed as we went along. It was an actual email template moving forward. There was a checklist to check the name, check the date, check the time, etc. So moving forward, that mistake wouldn't happen. Shift number 3 is going to be from completing tasks to owning outcomes. An employee gets paid for completing a task. Did you post on social media? Check. Did you answer emails? Check. They focus specifically on the activity, but realistically, clients don't really care about the tasks that you're doing. They care about the outcomes that the tasks create. So they don't want just a social media image that is shared to social media. They want something that is going to invoke engagement. They don't want an empty inbox. They want satisfied, happy customers. Focusing on the tasks keeps you in the nitty-gritty. Owning the outcomes elevates you to a whole nother level. I am the customer service representative for one of my clients, and so my job is to answer emails. However, my job is also to make sure that each client, each lead, each student that comes through that inbox feels like they are the only client, the only lead, the only student that we have. I am there to support them in whatever they need. I am there to provide them with any information that they need. I am there to make sure that their experience with us is the best experience possible aside from the actual coaching element or the product that they've purchased. And I cannot tell you how rewarding it is to have them have such a great experience to then go to social media and say how good their experience was with just the customer representative team. And not only is that securing my role inside of my client's business, but it's also shining light on my client's business. The mental shift from focusing on what do you need me to do to what are we trying to achieve is when you focus on the goal behind the task. And that is when you unlock a new level of value. Hopefully you've gained it from now, but throughout this series, throughout my channels, we're not just learning how to become a virtual assistant. We're learning to become a partner in somebody's business. We are learning to make ourselves irreplaceable. So this is going to be the difference between being a pair of hands inside of your client's business to being a partner inside of their business. The deeply ingrained employee habit is trading time for money. The hourly rate is king in the employee world. So when we start our virtual assistant business, our default is to charge hourly. and then start the clock when they start a task. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting your virtual assistant journey with charging hourly. As I mentioned in previous videos, you may not necessarily know how much time it is going to take in order to complete a task. So this is going to give you an opportunity to make sure you're getting paid for the task, but also to keep track on how many hours that you are spending on a task. So then you can move more seamlessly into a retainer package. And the problem with staying in a hourly based pricing structure is that it punishes you for being good at your job. The faster you get things done, the less you get paid. And it also puts a hard cap on your income because you only have so many hours in a day, so many hours in a week, so many hours in a month in order to get tasks done. And worst of all, it can make your clients see your services as a commodity and question every single minute that you are spending on a task. Business owners don't sell time, they sell solutions. The shift here is to move from hourly billing to value-based prices and packaging, which is a retainer. So instead of selling an hour of your time, you sell a flawless managed inbox for the month. You price your services based on the results you deliver and not how many hours it takes you to complete. To do this, you have to understand the value that you create inside of somebody's business. If you save a client 10 hours a week and their time is worth $200 an hour, the value that you've brought is $2,000 a week. So now does charging $300 for those 10 hours a week sound fair? Of course not. At this point, you can start bundling your services that solve a specific problem. So for example, instead of charging hourly for social media management, now you're doing a package for social media growth at around $1,500 a month. The client isn't buying your time here, they are buying a result, a professional and active social media presence. So effectively, this then changes the conversation to how much do you charge an hour to what does the package include? And this positions you as an expert instead of a hired hand and allows you to scale your income based on results. The employee mindset here is to always seek approval, sending your boss an email to check before you send it to an external client. Before making a decision, you check to make sure that it is okay. And that habit comes from a good place. You don't want to overstep, but in your own business, that projects lack of confidence and ultimately creates a bottleneck and essentially makes your client the final decision maker, which is the exact opposite they hired you for. They want to trust you. They are hiring an expert inside of their business, and they expect you to act like one. A business owner leads with their own domain. They don't wait for instruction. They don't wait for approval. They communicate their intentions with authority. Now, this doesn't mean that you go ahead and create huge decisions on your own without having a conversation with the business owner or with your client. It's just a subtle shift on how you present yourself, how you talk, and how you handle tasks. Instead of asking, is it okay if I reach out to this potential partner? You reframe it as, I've identified a potential partner for our launch. I've drafted an outreach email and a plan, and I'll send it along tomorrow unless you have any objections. Instead of, what should I do about this customer complaint? You say, I've handled this customer complaint by offering a solution and documented the process, and I just wanted to keep you in the loop. Right now, the client that I do the customer service management for, the inbox management, I also do conflict management as well. I don't even tell the client what the conflicts are anymore. I essentially just take them. I own the responsibility. I own the outcome. I make the decision, and then we move on. And I can assure you that that has released so much stress from her life on having to deal with those. This decide and inform approach is going to make you so valuable inside of the client's business. You're respecting the client's time by giving them the veto power, but not putting it all on them to make the final decision. You're taking the lead, and the right clients will not be threatened by this. They will be relieved and like they've finally found a true partner inside of their business. Going from an employee mindset to a business owner is going to be the single most important mindset shift that you can make inside of your. It is going to be the difference from having a stressful online job to owning a thriving and profitable business that actually gives you the freedom that you were looking for. So to recap, here are the 5 mindset shifts that I need you to implement inside of your business today. Stop waiting for instruction and start proposing the next step. Stop fearing mistakes and start seeing them as data and analyzing them. Stop completing tasks and start owning the outcomes. Stop charging for your hours and start pricing for value. Stop seeking approval and start communicating with authority. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. This is a practice. This is why this is the 6th video in this series. So start small, pick one of these mindset shifts to focus on this week, Maybe the one that felt the most liberating, and commit to it, because when you start to act like a business owner, you will begin to attract the clients and the work that you truly deserve. You're not just a virtual assistant, you are a CEO in your own business, and it's time you start acting like one. Now, you've reached the final video in the 6-part series, and I want to thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed the series, I definitely recommend hitting the subscribe button and making sure that the notification bell is turned on so you get notified when I post the next video. You can expect weekly videos from myself that talk all about virtual assistants and the hot trending topics and how to prepare you for the real world of creating your virtual assistant business. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video.